racism in Australia? Is it a problem?
Do you think racism is an issue in Australia?
I do think racism exists in Australia.
I do believe it's still a big problem in Australia.
It definitely is.
100%.
100%.
100%.
I think it is a problem.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think it is.
Australia has a rich history of ignoring its racist past. In 2005, Prime Minister John Howard said, "I do not accept that there is underlying racism in this country."
It's in the education system.
The States has a racism problem.
It's in the police system.
In 2010, Prime Minister Kevin Rudd said, "I do not believe racism is at work in Australia."
I think it's a defining characteristic of Australia.
It's not only just in America.
Cultural ignorance or racial ignorance.
Even now in 2020, Prime Minister Scott Morrison has said,
Australia was a pretty brutal place, but there was no slavery in Australia.
I think it's definitely something that isn't talked about as much as it should be.
It is a very big problem in Australia at the moment.
What's the most racist thing someone has said to you?
Holy shit.
There's so many that come to mind.
I could go on forever.
This lady comes up to me and she goes, "Wow, you speak such good English."
I was in a restaurant with a few of my mates that had a pub side menu and an Asian menu.
The teacher said, "You're really well spoken for an islander."
No, I went to choose a burger. Someone's gone, "Oh, what are you eating tonight? You must be having the noodles or something like that."
Somebody asked me if my vagina was pixelated. In Asian cultures, that's what happens in pornography.
And telling me to go eat a dog.
Even now, during a pandemic, people still attack innocent Australians.
A survey of more than 6,000 international students found almost a quarter have experienced verbal racist abuse during the pandemic. 25% said people avoided them because of their appearance.
People used to pull their eyes back to the back of their head and say, "Is this how you see?"
We were at my house playing board games. In the process of creating characters, I was tossing up between fire and lightning. He then says to me that you assume that your character would breathe curry.
I was at the market with my dad. The lady who was running the stall, she started yelling at my dad, like a lot.
Getting served by this lady in Macca's was like speaking to me in a really slow tone. She thought I was just like couldn't speak English.
Go back to your country. Why are you here? And go back to where you came from.
Call me a dog eater. Obviously my imaginary character in this imaginary world had to be Indian and had to breathe curry.
It went on for a while. She just kept yelling and yelling until he just like eventually just walked away.
I was on the train. This man gets on the train and he sits across from me. "Oh, you look like Serena Williams, only without the body."
I walk into a store with my cousins and people will clutch their bags.
I've had random people say comments to me while I'm working.
You're one, commenting on my race, and two, commenting on my weight.
As like a brown girl, I'm quite hairy, so I got bullied a lot for like having hairy arms,
Making fun of my language and trying to imitate it.
having bushy eyebrows, and it was just like a constant thing.
People would look at my lunchbox and be like, "What are you eating? Like, that's disgusting."
The store clerk will follow us around the aisles,
I'm on the bus, someone doesn't want to sit next to me because I'm wearing a hijab.
turn their backs.
Like how she acted upon that was really racist.
We used to have this regular bus driver, and I remember always thinking, "Oh, he treats me a little bit different whenever I get on the bus."
My mum accidentally grazed somebody with a shopping trolley. This lady said, "Don't you know, in Australia, we drive from the left-hand side of the road. Stick to it."
As I'm boarding the bus, he goes, "Oh, Black Betty, bam, lamb."
And like I kind of felt like she was mocking me a little bit.
This guy, he shouts out to me, "You effing terrorist."
A radio presenter said, "Islanders are only good for one thing, and that's rugby."
I had my hands just clenched up. That was a moment where I was like, wow. Do I not belong?
And I know they were probably just kind of having a joke about it.
He meant it as a joke, but I didn't like what he said.
You know, they may find it funny, but to me it's not really a funny thing, making fun of someone's race.
When did they say it?
This was said to me in 2011, so I was only 12 years old.
A couple of times at school.
High school?
2013 to 2015.
2014.
4 or 5 years ago.
3 years ago.
It was about 4 months ago.
In maybe June, July.
That's really young, but it's not the first time I've faced that stuff, so.
40% of students in years 5 to 9 from non-Anglo or European backgrounds reported experiencing racial discrimination by their peers.
That's 40% higher than it should be.
Has anyone ever made you feel ashamed of your race?
Yes, all of the time.
Plenty of times.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have.
There was a time in high school.
I used to be when I was younger because I used to get bullied.
My name initially when I first moved here was something I was really ashamed of.
One of my friends was saying to me how she didn't vote for any of the Asian prefects because they were Asian, and it made me feel ashamed because at the time I was a prefect.
I didn't really fit into white-centric beauty standards.
When I was younger, I always wished that I was like fairer skin coloured wise.
If anything, it's made me stronger and more proud of where I come from, where my mum comes from.
Enough is enough.
It gets into your head. You think, oh, I wish I was white.
No one should have to feel like this.
I'm just as much Australian as someone else.
It's time to take a stand.
I was born here, I was raised here.
Say no more to racism.
So, yeah, racism is a problem in Australia. It really is.